Barbenheimer was the biggest movie weekend of the year. So are Barbie and Oppenheimer two of the top films on Leo Brady's list? We'll have to find out. Leo Brady, of course, from amovieguide.com. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Rudy. This is great. I am really excited. I'm happy to talk end of the year movies. It's a busy season for us film critics, and it's exciting to be here with you.
How would you say 2023 was as far as like films? Did it live up to your expectations? Was it better? How was this year for you?
Very much so. I think this year was better than 2022. It's always interesting when I get towards the end of the year. I always wonder, am I being too nice to movies? Am I giving too many movies 4 stars, and am I giving it too much praise? But I don't think that's the case here. I think we have a really good year in 2023 where you could look at my end of the year list and you could go as far as into my top 20, and even some of those could have been in my top 10. It was really an excellent year for cinema, maybe a tougher year for superhero movies, but I have been a big fan of how original these movies have been this year.
So let's first start off with your top five films of the year, but we want to talk a little bit about maybe your favorite guilty pleasure, the funniest movie, the movie that was only streaming, and of course the song that got stuck in our heads. So we'll get through all that, but let's go ahead and do the top five. What's your fifth favorite movie of the year?
Yeah, my number 5 movie of the year is Celine Song's Past Lives. So this is a movie that has been in my top 5. It was in my top 3 from as early as March. I mean, it was a huge hit at Sundance. It never stopped being in the front of my mind. A romance film, a movie about two people who were friends as kids, and then as they got older, they reconnected, and now they're finding themselves in different places in life. Celine Song's film is very adorable, romantic. I have been a huge fan of it from the get-go. Really loved it. It's very heartfelt, and I recommend it to just about everybody.
Awesome. Number four.
Number 4, we go from the sweet movie to the weirdest movie that will be in my top 10 this year, which is Yorgos Lanthimos's Poor Things. It is a movie about a woman who is created in a way by a mad scientist. The mad scientist is played by Willem Dafoe, and Emma Stone is the lead actress in this one. She gives this unbelievable performance where she starts off almost as a child, learning this new human, learning to become herself and grow and do all of these things with the world. Visually stunning, great cast. It's actually quite hilarious at times, but I found it very introspective and original. It's one of the most original movies of the year. Yorgos Lanthimos always surprises us with weird stuff, and I'm a big fan of this one.
Especially too with a lot of people having flexible schedules during the holidays, it's a good one to go ahead and check out because I feel like it's going to be nominated a lot during award season.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's going to be people who are kind of shocked at the subject matter. There's a lot of, as I said, Willem Dafoe's character is very much a mad scientist. There's moments where he's creating animals merged together like a duck and a pig, and it's very odd. But I think I am always a fan during award season for people to take risks, and you can't get a riskier movie this year than Poor Things. I'm a big fan of it.
Awesome. Number three.
Number 3, a movie that is, that never left my mind from the minute I saw it. Yes, it is a 3-hour sit. Yes, it is a very dark subject matter about the Osage Nation, but it is Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio playing probably one of the more foolish and buffoonish characters that he's ever played. I've really never seen Leonardo DiCaprio be so much of a sort of simple person and not not as suave as he has been in his past films. Lily Gladstone is the rising star of the year. Her work is so spectacular in this film. It's grounded in American history. It is a tough sit to watch, but it's very important in this moment. And Martin Scorsese does it again. It's his story that turns turns movies like this into instant classics.
Awesome. Number two. We're getting close. We're getting close. Number two.
We're getting very close. Number two, a movie that I feel like that hasn't been talked about enough. A movie that I am hoping a lot more people will get to see. It actually doesn't come out until after January 1st. It's Ava DuVernay's film Origin, which is based on a novel that I really hope more people will read. Stars Anjanae Ellis. It's based off of Isabel Wilkerson's book, which talks about the caste systems in the world. It's very heavy subject matter about racial inequality in the world, about how cultures create things, not just based off of racism, but based off of caste, and how a lot of the systems in the world sort of put people who are minorities in positions where they are seen as less, or where they need to fight for more equal rights. And it is a very powerful film. I found it to be incredibly educational. I know people don't look for movies to be sort of like a educational viewing, and they want to be entertained, but I think that this is just a really important movie, and it's powerful. Ava DuVernay direction is excellent, and yeah, it's a movie that I hope a lot of people will go check out.
Yeah, she's a wonderful director, and I think tackling this subject, especially in a film, she's the perfect person to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, 100%. It's a beautiful follow-up to her documentary about the 13th Amendment. It's a beautiful follow-up to what she did with Selma. She continues to surprise me with every film that she makes, and it's based off of a New York Times bestselling book by Isabel Wilkerson, and I really hope a lot of people will take a look at this one.
And your number one, your favorite film of the year.
Yeah, very tough.
I feel like we should do some kind of drum roll.
Yes, yeah, here we go. Look, it was the movie of the year. It was the movie of the moment. And no, it's not Barbie, it's Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer is an amazing achievement. A movie that is filled with dialogue and a big cast of characters where people show up and you're like, oh, there's Robert Downey Jr. and oh, there's Dane DeHaan and oh, there's Kenneth Branagh. It is honestly such an accomplishment visually. Acting, Cillian Murphy's performance in the lead is not, if not the best of the year. The direction from Nolan, the score, the cinematography, all of it. It is this powerful movie about the creation of the atom bomb, about what Oppenheimer was able to do in Los Alamos. It is excellent writing. It's one of the best movies I've seen. I think it's Christopher Nolan's best film, which says a lot for a director who has made a lot of great films. I haven't stopped loving Oppenheimer. I have seen it 3 times this year, and I can't wait to see it 3 more. It's definitely my number one of the year.
How does your list shift throughout the year? Because obviously there's, at the beginning of the year, like, oh, this is great, by March, and then by the summer, and then before you know it, all these Oscar contenders come out towards the end of the year. Like, how is your list shifting?
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I typically like to see maybe 1 or 2 movies from the end of the year will eventually possibly make it into my list. But I always like to sort of weigh them by how much impact they still have in my mind. A movie like Oppenheimer never left my mind from the get-go. And I never saw a movie that made me say, yep, that's better than Oppenheimer. Some came close. Origin, Killers of Flower Moon, Poor Things, all of them, those came close. I mean, there's an argument there that Past Lives could have been my number one. And sometimes it's the unfortunate thing where Past Lives was like my number one for like the first 6 months of the year. And then by the time you finally get to seeing some other movies, you're thinking about that one instead. So it's a very tough balance. And I just think it's what resonates most. It's what sticks in your mind. And when that happens, that truly means it's a powerful film.
Where did Barbie fall in your list of be the top 10 or top 20?
It's in the top 20. I was such a big fan of Barbie. I thought from direction, production design, all of those things, I think Greta Gerwig did such a spectacular job. It's quite a funny movie. I definitely have Ryan Gosling in my best supporting actor group this year. And yeah, it just wasn't the type of movie that had me going gaga about it all day. I think there's plenty of things to love about it. I thought some of the comedy didn't always work, and it felt like maybe the kind of movie that could have just been perfect. And really, honestly, when, like I said, in my top 20, it's really about nitpicking things, and sometimes it could be a small thing that pushes it out compared to the other movie that may have beaten it. But Barbie is a great film. I think, I think what it accomplished is bringing fans back to the theaters is enough success, enough to say, yes, this is a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, let's just celebrate that, for a moment, that Barbenheimer, that especially that opening weekend where everybody was talking about going to the movies, people were dressing up, people were going, with their group of friends, people were seeing both movies. I mean, I can't think of another instance where people talked about going to the cinema that much, and especially two different films that were so different.
Yeah, correct. And I also think too, it created trends, right? I mean, we saw it start to happen again with Taylor Swift and with Beyonce and their concert films. I mean, these are movies and these are things that we need to happen, where audiences are coming together. They're excited to get back to the theater, whether it's a family film, whether it's, a horror movie. I think the horror genre still has fans coming back in droves. And that's important. No matter what, it's important to keep these movies going, because theaters need it. We need it. We need the escape. And I'm glad Barbenheimer gave that to us this year.
Oh, exactly. And you mentioned family films. We're both parents. We always, I always see you at the movies, whether we're seeing, Paw Patrol or Super Mario Brothers or Migration, there's always a ton of kid movies that we always go see. And I think you see it as a different lens as a parent, because, I mean, these movies are all great because you're watching them just as much as your kid is.
Right. Yeah. And for me, it's like, I have been so lucky that my son jumps in to watch these movies with me. He's like, what are we seeing this week? Okay, sure. Let's do it. It is always so exciting. And sometimes, it's just a matter of him laughing at the screen that makes me laugh and makes me say to myself, hey, you know what? This movie, it did its job. It made it, tolerable for us to enjoy while our kids are, laughing it up and having a good time.
What was your pick for favorite family film of the year?
Yeah, so mine is like a nice little combo. My favorite family movie of the year, and it was definitely my favorite family experience for me and my son, which was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And it's kind of like that this is what we talk about, where my past meets my son's future, because it's like, I was a huge Ninja Turtles fan growing up. I had the video games, I had the action figures, I had all of that stuff. So for my son and me to go and see this movie, and he loved it, he was laughing, he thought it was the coolest movie that he had seen. And I thought it was great too. I thought it did perfect justice to the Ninja Turtles. My son and I distinctly remember that the two of us ran out to stores to get some Ninja Turtles action figures after the movie because we enjoyed it so much. I mean, and that's such a powerful thing to happen. And I think they did such a great job with reviving the Ninja Turtles for kids.
Yeah, I think for me it was The Little Mermaid, because my daughter, she's 3 years old, so we've only been watching animated movies, cartoons, and that was the first live action. I was like, and I was anticipating going in there saying she's not going to sit for this whole thing, but she loved she sat there quietly, she ate her popcorn, she was like loving every moment. And Trolls Band Together, that was her other favorite one. So those were our two big experiences.
Yeah, my son has had me listening to the Trolls soundtrack on Spotify the last 2 weeks in a row. So yes, I am right there with you.
I mean, speaking of songs, was there a particular song from a movie that got stuck in your head, or that whether you think might be up for award season, or just that was like memorable for 2023 for you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, and going back to where Barbie lands for me, I mean, for me, it's the I'm Just Ken song from Barbie that Ryan Gosling sings. Even though I actually did feel like it wasn't a fantastic year for original songs, Wonka has a couple that was pretty nice, but the Barbie song, the whole production of that, the whole introduction of his character with that song was so hilarious, so funny and catchy. It's the type of song that's been parodied already on things like Saturday live. So that's the one song of the year that definitely had me humming over and over again.
Yeah, I think for me it's I'm Just Ken, and then it's Jack Black from Super Mario Brothers, Peaches, 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 and I can't wait for the Oscars. I hope they're both nominated because I can't wait to see those two performances.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. And if I'm right there with you with Jack Black, I'm such a huge fan of him. So if Jack Black was to get an Oscar nomination and be performing that live for that song, sign me up. That would be the coolest thing. I can't wait.
All right, so obviously there's going to be some films that are not going to be nominated for awards, but there might have been a funny movie that you know you're going to be watching for years to come, or maybe a guilty pleasure that you were like, it's not going to make anyone's top list, but like, I love this movie.
Yeah, for me, that movie, I am a huge action film fan. Growing up, my favorite actor was guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. So my guilty pleasure movie of the year, and it's a movie that is making my top 10, is John Wick Chapter 4. Chad Stahelski's film is once again turning it up in terms of great action sequences, great stunt work, great cinematography. The story of John Wick, fighting a bunch of different mercenaries and taking on 20 men at a time. It is always exciting to me. That's a movie that I saw the premiere of at South by Southwest this year, and it never left my brain. It was my favorite screening at the festival, and just the sound design and just the action and the you got a guy like Donnie Yen fighting people. It is such an awesome action film. It's a movie that I just want to watch over and over again. I've been a fan of all 4 John Wick movies. We're hoping more stuntmen get more credit during award seasons these days, but we certainly know that John Wick Chapter 4 might not be up for Best Picture. I wish it was, but it's my guilty pleasure for sure.
I think my two favorite guilty pleasures of the year were Theater Camp.
Oh yeah,
and Bottoms. Two movies I did not expect to like love and laugh at so much, but like I feel like these are the ones that like when I just want to like unwind, that these are the movies I'm going to keep coming back to.
Yeah, totally. Bottoms was one of my second favorite screenings at South by Southwest this year. That had the audience just laughing in stitches. A movie that probably didn't even get enough attention. Actually, both of them, Theater Camp and Bottoms, both really funny. Both looks at sort of different sort of styles of comedy and new ways of sort of circumventing the genre. Big fan of both of those. So I'm right there with you.
Awesome. Streaming movies, because not every movie makes it to the theater, and there's only movies that you can watch on different platforms. Was there one that was streaming that that might make your top list, or the one that you recommend?
Yeah, one that I totally recommend. And going back to like kids movies, one of the movies that I watched this year on Netflix with my son was a film called Nimona. I loved this movie. It was a movie about a knight. It's sort of like a futuristic world where there's this guy who's a knight who's been accused of killing the king in this land, and he hooks up with this girl whose name is Nimona, and she's a shapeshifter. She turns to like elephants and animals and rhinos. And it's so cool and so funny. Great animation, very exciting. It was one of those movies that I really, really wished was in theaters. And I think that's happened twice, 2 years in a row with Netflix. It happened the year before with Sea Beast, and now it's happened with Nimona. They've done 2 really good, excellent animated films, 2 movies that I think could be nominated for animated Oscars, and they weren't up on the big screen. And it felt like a crime because Nimona is a really big, fun animated action movie. And I hope more people will check it out now that I'm recommending it.
Awesome. And then as far as your list of top movies of the year, is that going to be on the website? Are you going to be posting about it? Let people know where we can find that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it'll all be on amovieguy.com. Usually I post mine at the end of the year, so it'll be coming in the last week of December. You'll be able to see all of that. I'll have my top 10, my top 10 movies, my top 10 documentaries, and then my end of the year awards, which are usually just for actors, actresses that I felt like did some of the best acting of the year.
Yeah, I mean, especially, awards, the Oscars are going to be nominated or coming out here, and the announcements in the next, couple of weeks or so. But I feel like it's going to be, between Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese. I think those are going to be, Barbie might have done bigger at the box office, but I think Oppenheimer is going to do bigger at the during award season.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why Greta Gerwig shouldn't get a Best Director nomination. She certainly deserves it. But yeah, the two big pictures I think that are going to be fighting it out are going to be Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer. I think they're the two of the biggest productions. I think they're two fantastic movies, great about, American history, movies that I think everybody should see. And it's great to have auteurs back again and guys like that making such big movies that are such big hits for really adults such as you and I. So I think that's one of the more important things about it.
Awesome. Well, Leo, thank you so much for your time today. Happy holidays. Cannot wait to see your whole top 10 list come out. And at a movie guy, go ahead and check him out on Instagram and a movieguy.com for all that more. And thank you so much for your time today.
Awesome. Thanks, Rudy. Appreciate it. And have a happy holidays as well.
Thank you.